everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Weekend Woodworking. My name's Dave, and today what I wanted to do is just take you through a few basics with push sticks. I actually had somebody comment on one of my videos about these, and so I thought I'd make a quick video about the ones that I use on my table saw. So I've got a few here in front of me. These are the primarily the main ones that I use a lot of, which is here. I've got some other push sticks in the shop, but I've kind of stopped using them because these ones have turned out to be my favorite. The first one here, this is actually the push stick that came with my Ridgid R4520 contractor saw, and surprisingly enough, it's an absolutely amazing push stick. So this thing here is a little magnet, which is really nice because it sticks it right to the side of the table saw. But one of the really important features that this thing has got, so that the handle is really long. We're only about a 3/4 inch width here, which is really good. So you can get some of those narrow pieces cut. But it's got this little cutout here that is just a little bit less than 90 degrees. And what that allows me to do with my piece is, as I'm pushing it through the table saw, not only can I hold it like this and put some down pressure, but I can also push behind it and guide it through the saw like that, so I keep my hands away from the blades. So really, really neat push stick that comes with this table saw. Now, one of the things that I decided to do a little while ago was upgrade to this other one that's made by Micro-Jig. It's called the Grr-Ripper. And this one is really, really handy. I'm sure a lot of you who have been in woodworking for a little bit have heard of Micro-Jig. You've probably seen this thing. They're not even that expensive. I think here in Canada, I paid about $60 for this. So it wasn't horrible, but everything's more expensive in Canada. And so with this one here, what I really like about it is I can loosen the knobs here on the front and back. And as you'll see, I've got a thin piece here just with a rubber strip on the bottom. I've got a piece right here that I can move back and forth that I can set depending on how wide my cut needs to be to make sure that the blade goes in this channel, or flipping it, of course, to the other side and going through this channel here. The other really, really nice part about this is there are some times, and I'll use this piece here as an example, just a piece of scrap that I have, where I need to make a narrow cut. And as you can see, if I were to slide this piece all the way over, I might be able to get enough of a grip on that, but the blade has to come up here and it would cut into these. So that wouldn't work. So what I can actually do with this is I can slide this piece all the way over and tighten it up. I can have this up against the fence, and then right here, if I loosen these two knobs, I can actually take this part and drop it down to my table and then tighten the knobs up. And what that'll allow me to do is it now gives me a 1/4 inch of pressure on the inside of this piece in order for me to be able to slide this through. And this here glides on top of the table itself. So it's really, really handy. So the Grr-Ripper is probably one of my favorites that I use as far as a push stick. Okay, so just something I bought from Home Depot. I thought it was really neat, and it works really well. And in addition, these rubber pieces here, as far as I know, I haven't had to do it yet, but you can take these rubber pieces out. You can also take this guard off of this side, switch it to this side. You can also move the handle back and forth, almost like a little bit of a T-track here. So it's really handy. The other thing that I've done, and I'll show you this one a little bit more, is that I've made a push stick as well. This was something that took me 5 minutes to make from a scrap piece of 1/2 inch MDF that I had lying around. It may not be the ideal material for it, but it's certainly strong enough for pushing something through a saw. As you can see right here, and I know I've got a little bit of an overcut here from when I cut it out on the table saw, which that's really no big deal because we've got lots of thickness here. This does something the same thing as this, very similar in that it's got this edge here. And so I can grab the piece like this, and I'll typically do a handle at least 4 inches high. So that way it fits my hand. The easiest way to design the handle on this is put your hand like this and measure from here to here to make sure that it's going to fit with a little bit sticking out the top. And you also want to make sure this is a little bit thicker so that way you're away from the blade. And this does the exact same thing that this one here does. The biggest difference is that This one puts about 2 inches of depth here. This one puts about 9 inches of depth. So it's really handy because as I'm pushing down on this and pushing this through a table saw, it's pushing down this entire piece to make sure that it's not lifting up. The challenge with this one can be, as you push this through, if you let go of this piece, like once you get to the blade and you hold it down here, this can happen. And that's what we don't want on a table saw, because if this little bit of lift happens and that board twists a little bit, then the blade's going to potentially take that board and throw it back at you like this, which is what we don't want. So let's take a minute, and I'm going to run you through how these things actually work on the table saw, so you can actually see them. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight into push sticks. When it comes to push sticks, there's really not much to them. It's really simple. You need downward pressure and you need forward pressure. That's where this right here works incredibly well. So having something like this is good. The Micro-Jig, it's awesome, but the one thing that you have to watch is when this rubber gets dusty, it becomes slippery. So every now and then I'll take a wet rag. This is not a wet rag. It's my dust rag. And I'll take this and wipe it off to make sure that it can actually stick really good to that surface. But still, this is a really good push stick. And yes, the blade does travel underneath, but you're protected by all the plastic that's here. So you should be fine. And of course, this is always a good option as well. This one's just really handy because I can mount it on my table saw. So that's just a brief overview of some of the different push sticks that I use. Be creative with your push sticks if you're going to make one. You see the ones that you've probably seen ones that are made online before. There's people that make them out of, it looks like a hand. It says all kinds of different stuff. You can make them really fancy. A lot of them made out of plywood, some of them made out of hardwood. So really the options for making something like a push stick are endless. So have some fun with it. Just keep in mind the one goal with a push stick, we want to keep that hand away from the blade. That's really all that matters. Keep the hand away from the blade and keep that piece of wood pushed all the way through that saw so we make a nice clean cut. All right? Thanks for watching the video. If you could do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely amazing if you could do that. Also, if you've got any questions or comments about this video, or if you've got any ideas for other videos that you might want to see, even videos that you believe will help the beginning woodworker, then feel free to let me know your ideas down in the comments. I'll get back to you and then see if I can make a video on it. All right? Thanks very much.